So how was your weekend?
Lovely.
Good.
All right, we're live. How was your weekend, Joe?
Uh, 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 It was great, man.
What the fuck was that?
Oh, that was my Wi-Fi connection. No, I was just laughing from what we were talking about earlier. What did I do? Oh, it just was. My daughter's got a bunch of AP exams this week and next, so just helping
My
her
son
get
too.
a sanity check. She took it too much last year, too many, and I mean, she passed the cup, got threes on a few of them, but this year she wants to score higher, obviously. So dealing with that, we went to see a movie, The Norsemen or Northmen, that
How was
Viking
that?
movie. I liked it. It's not like it's different. I mean, but it almost it reminded me a little bit of like Conan the Barbarian,
Oh,
but
okay.
in a more modernistic way. So definitely worth checking out. Merrick Park's always a great place to see movies. But other than that, I think got some exercise, hung in. Nothing too exciting. Gearing up. I think the Formula One stuff starts on Wednesday. I've got some buddies coming in town for that, so looking forward to that over the weekend.
You gonna go to it?
Yeah, I'm going to go
Oh,
to it one
all right.
one or two of the days.
Huh.
I'm trying to get some of the stuff from the Ferrari guys. So the in town here that I know, but we'll see. But it's cheaper on StubHub. When I looked at tickets a couple months ago, it was like $2,000 a ticket. Now it's down into like the 120 range. So, I love StubHub. So that's coming up. And then the Bloomberg Power Conference is on Friday.
Oh yeah, you're gonna hang out with the big guys.
Yeah, go tout some stuff, see what people think. It's at Equinox at the beach, so it should be pretty exciting.
Yeah, that's handy.
But I always dread that drive over there.
The beach sucks.
It's a whole 25, 30-minute experience to get there from here. So
yeah.
But how about you? What'd you do?
What did I do, Joe?
Other than work.
I edited some shows. Oh, my show with Joey Santoro, the founder of Faye Protocol, has been put on hold because Faye has merged with Rari, and this weekend Rari was exploited for $80 million. And so we're going to add a segment onto it with his comments about the exploit, because it just was a little too much rah for something that had just been exploited for $80 million to put out the way it was. So I asked him to come in and, we're going to do another segment commenting on that exploit, what happened, what they're doing to cope with it, what it's been like, etc. So we'll add that to it. And then let's see what else. My wife and son were working at the Relay for Life cancer event at the park, and they were gone all day, and my daughter was at a party, and so I got a little work done on Saturday, and then Sunday went to a lacrosse game. So went to see my daughter play, and good old just typical family weekend, basically.
She likes lax?
Yeah, she does. Well, she's funny because she doesn't cope well with the pressure of the games, but she is good at it. And so she always bitches and moans before the games that she doesn't really want to go. And then when she goes, she has a blast. And,
that's normal.
And she's on a team with a bunch of new players. So they're not great as a team, yet. There are probably 5-6 standout girls on the team that are excellent. But they need more. They need better players. So anyway, but they're all brand new at this sport. So
is it a school team or a club team?
Club team. Their coach is the high school coach. So she's excited to play for her in high school. We'll see what happens. So,
cool. Yeah, awesome, man.
Yeah.
Good for her. It's good. Get a little body contact out there.
Yeah.
I mean, don't
well,
get
she
afraid
wants
of
it
banging into people,
She wants it to be more like the boys lacrosse, where
Oh wait, the girls are different?
Yeah, it's not as violent, not even close. Like, they are so tight on the rules on hitting, and they're tight on the rules on checking. It just sucks because you watch it's still a good game, don't get me wrong, but you watch the boys play and it's like unbelievable. The impacts.
Hockey.
Yeah.
30 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. It's insanity. And she wants that. She would love that kind of play. I mean, she's a little girl, but she would love the contact and the little more violence. I think she'd like to amp up the violence a little bit in the lacrosse, but
Well, hey, they miss that real world stuff.
Exactly.
When they're in the phones all the time. I mean, I was having a big lecture with my daughter about the phone stuff this weekend, just because I saw her using it more. Oh yeah, they love that conversation. It usually descends into. But then you kind of think about it, and I'm like, I sort of remember when, new forms of sort of entertainment come out, whether it was radio to TV to whatever, cable to streaming to, ephemeral messaging platforms. And everyone before that, it's like, oh, it's the end of society.
Oh, yeah.
And you just sort of think they're growing up in this as native text. So it's not different to them.
No. Remember the whole wave of parents not letting their children watch television? There was a whole, there was a book about get rid of the television. It's horrible. It's, and well, guess what? We all survived.
We made it. I mean, there are a lot of dumbos out there too. So maybe they watched more TV than us, but I seem to remember coming home from school, didn't really have much homework back then. And, sitting down in front of the TV and watching shows at 4:00 till dinner time.
Right.
Or maybe even if it was nighttime and there might be a show on, everybody was in the living room, but everybody was kind of doing their own thing. Like my grandma might be knitting, or I might be drawing on the sitting on the floor drawing or something while a show is going on. It was just always everybody was in the same room.
Right.
Which is probably an extension because they all grew up with radio.
Yeah.
So, before radio, they would sit in the parlor and talk and read and stuff. And somebody might play a musical instrument to entertain everybody. And then radio came and it kind of extended that sort of togetherness. And then TV kind of fit into the platform the same way. But now it's all, decentralized. We all have watch our own show on our own device.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting if you get them all in the room at the same time, when you were a kid and you would sit after dinner and you'd watch shows and stuff, even if they're on other devices, there's still conversations going on across it.
Absolutely.
So it's still a good thing to try to encourage, or you just kind of start losing touch.
Yeah, exactly.
But,
look, whatever. I mean, look, there's all kinds of issues with phone usage, social media, but whatever.
Just for teenage girls in particular, it's pretty.
Yeah.
They get so obsessed with what they look like, versus what other people look.
Yeah, it's so image focused. It's just ridiculous.
But I figure they'll get bored with it. She's gotten bored with it before, so I think it's just that her crew now they're all on there. So, what can you do?
Yeah, it's difficult. Yeah, look, I've tried the shutting it off, and anyway.
But anyhow, good weekend.
Yeah, so this weekend we had some news. Some things happened.
Really?
So there was evidently there was some liquidations. I don't know specifically where on Phantom for FTM this weekend, and then
I saw that
there was a and that started a series of this next thing started a series of tweets people put out. There was a whale who had a $50 million loan against his FTM, and he was in danger of liquidation. And the analysis that people did was that $50 million liquidation would basically completely and totally devastate Phantom as a chain. That it would just cascade into everything on the chain and basically wipe out just about everything that was going on chain. Now, whether or not it would have been that devastating. Let me see if I can find
50 million though you said 50 on a $2 billion market cap. Coin. I don't know, man.
And that's what's crazy. But when you look at it, they were running things like looking at the slippage if you tried to sell. Because essentially, when the liquidation happens, you're basically dumping $50 million of the token onto the market, right? And so that was the big deal. But here's my point, and we've talked about this before, but it just when people start talking about Niblet says Joe has lived a long time, it seems. Yeah, he's lived a really long time.
Multiple lives, buddy. Multiple lives.
He's really lived a long time.
I wasn't back there for the radio, though, just to clarify. But I did take a typing class in high school.
Joe had one of those hand crank Victrolas.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
78s.
exactly.
Played a lot of 45s and 78s.
Exactly.
So.
We actually had one of those in my house. My dad restored his father's from way back when, and it actually worked. It was great. Anyway, so there was a potential liquidation. Some other whales bailed out the borrower that had the liquidations and sent him over millions, and he paid off the debt. But the thing that bothers me most about this is, and when I bring this up, the argument on Twitter often is, well, we have to keep everything permissionless. But my argument is that all of the lending systems need to be keeping an eye on the health of individual protocols and coins and of chains and of the total DeFi ecosystem. And they need, I mean, it's data, right? So this shouldn't be something, it's work, but it shouldn't be something that's impossible to do. They should all be utilizing some kind of oracle or feed that says, you know what, on Phantom, a $50 million loan is a dangerous thing, because if this price drops to here, there's an opportunity for this entire chain to collapse. Or on Olympus DAO, if this loan happens and one hits at $20 million, there will be cascading liquidations that can devastate that protocol. Same with Wonderland. And my point is this: they need to have a feed of all loan data across all chains, across all protocols, to keep track of specific protocols and specific chains, the amount of debt that's on them, and the theoretical implications of liquidations, right? And refuse loans. The system automatically should refuse loans that jeopardize the system, right? And that doesn't have to make it permissioned. It doesn't mean a human being says, oh, no, we can't approve that loan like at a fucking bank. They just need to be responsible about what the impact is of those protocols on the entire ecosystem. So that's the argument I'm making, Joe.
Well, no, I think it makes sense. I would say a couple of things. One, what protocol was it lent to? Or was it
I don't know what the lending protocol was. It was, but you know,
I was wondering if it was Geist. That's why I was curious.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, but also look, and what was the LTV on the loan? I mean, I don't see, you shouldn't be getting anything higher than 50% loan to value on Phantom.
Well, and at the very least, if you're going to, the amount can't be that big, right? It can't, like, okay, 10 grand. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Risk your ass all you want. But 10 million, no, probably not a great idea, dude. You know? So,
well, you could have this a sliding scale LTV on that too. Like,
true.
If you're like that $10,000 person, you could take out, you know, I think I haven't done any of the borrowing in a few months, but if I remember right, like on Aave, Polygon Aave, you could get 70%, I think, on ETH and maybe 85% on BTC. But even Aave itself, I think you could only get 50% on it.
Right.
So, you know, I think that you have to also think of it that way, you know, and particularly with the chain token. And I also think the chains themselves bear some responsibility to this, that you should be actively managing what is out there and in other protocols, if you're Phantom Foundation or whatever they're called, so that you could come in at those times when you start, you know, seeing risk to the system. You could be running risk analysis continuously and then come in and intervene in some place or time. Like maybe if the LTV on Phantom is, say, 50%, maybe when the collateral drops to say 30%, so it's about at 70 to 75% of its posted value, then maybe then you start calling for margin calls at that point, or telling them to liquidate before it drops further. I just think there are ways. If I was Phantom, you know, and a $50 million loan is going to take out my $2 billion market cap coin, I'd be all over this.
Yeah, but I think that you just get into I agree that would be a good way to handle it. I mean, it would be a solution, but I think what'll happen then is it kind of goes against the ethos of these chains they built out there running and allowing things to happen. What I would prefer to see is the lending protocols, you know, have the sense to build a system that they can all utilize that feeds this data in and lets them automatically adjust on the fly the loan ratios, automatically adjust on the fly the amount of debt they're willing to take on for a protocol based on the debt circulating through the entire system, right? Because that, to me, that would be a much more difficult thing for a protocol to do, because then they've got to dive in and fund things or intervene in some way, and that's just going to freak people out and piss people off in terms of decentralization. Ideally, we would all choose to only use lending protocols that use a standardization for managing the risk for protocols and for chains, right? Because I would much rather do business with a protocol that is being responsible about, automatically, algorithmically policing the size of the loans they allow. And, that happens with scoring. There are scoring systems, like, not a great example at the moment, but if you look at Rari has scoring systems for their loans, right? And when the TVL drops, when it increases too much, or when the ratios are too high in a given pool, it'll get a D or an F grade, right? To warn people off that, that pool might have problems. But that doesn't solve the overall problem. The overall problem being, to me, that there just needs to be tracking of all debt across chains and across protocols, so that there's a scoring system that says, okay, you don't take loans over this amount, and we don't take loans at this, ratio level. And that's just the way it is. I mean, that would be to me, that's the solution I'd like to see. And I'd like the market to say, hey, if you don't do this, we're not doing business with you, So anyway.
Yeah, I guess another question I have is, say on Aave, if you have an ETH position in there and you fall below the LTV and you get liquidated, they don't sell the ETH right away. They hold it.
I have no idea.
So they do. So if you're a lending protocol on Phantom and it's a Phantom position that's getting liquidated, I don't think you have to force sell it. I think you can just hold it. I don't think, because it's an asset still. I don't get why in liquidation.
Well, if the asset is
sell.
If the asset is dropping in value, the standard response would be to liquidate it to cover the amount of debt, right?
That's already covered at that point. You're still covered the debt because you're above the LTV when it liquidates.
Right. But what I'm saying is, if they don't sell the asset and the asset continues to decline in
price. That's everything in crypto, though. That's every single crypto out there. And they're on Phantom. So there are Phantoms. There's a Phantom chain supporting lending protocol. I think I would be holding it.
Well, if it's Phantom or ETH, probably I would too, because I think the longer term gains on it are positive, right?
Yeah.
And that may be a mechanism to solve the problem. But if it's not FTM, if it's something else like Ohm or whatever, I think the default is that they sell that to cover the debt into a stable, and then the stable coin covers the debt that was paid out to the borrower, right? So, it would have to be a calculated risk on whether or not you think the asset is going to appreciate in the future. But to me,
or sell it with 38% slippage. I guess that's your choice.
Right. And that's right. And that's, if you look at, this is the somebody ran through and did the slippage on all of the chain or the major chains. If you sold $50 million worth, right? ETH was a 9% slippage, BNB 16%, Solana 32%, Luna 33%, Kronos 33.5%, Arbitrum 35%, AVAX 35%, FTM 42.5%, Matic 62.5%. So, there's some serious risk to systemic risk. And
I just don't see ETH being 9%. And I don't see BNB being 16%.
Well,
I mean, I guess you really can't sell across chain yet, can you?
No. I mean,
so you have to pick one order book to sell it, or move it across 5 different platforms and sell 5 orders of 10 million.
Yeah, I guess so.
And also, I don't know what the order books look like either at any given time. So probably there wasn't a lot of order book because it's going to drop down on that. I mean, I could see on the smaller ones, but like if you go to Coinbase or Binance, and you sell 50 million in ETH, I don't know.
What does Matcha give us?
Not a bad network fee.
No, so 48,000. So that's 1.4 million.
Which is like 3%.
Yeah,
2.7.
2.8%. Yeah. I don't know.
I just picked on the ETH one because that's just such
Yeah.
But I think I don't know about Matic, but a lot of the other ones, yeah, I could see that being a big issue.
So anyway, my point of view is this is and here's the thing that I'm certainly concerned, not most concerned about, but I'm certainly concerned about, a debt liquidation taking down the entire chain. But the other thing it does is it gives an attack vector, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of thing that regulators or politicians can grab hold of and say, see, this is the risk, or see all this that got liquidated, see what happened because they're not regulated, they're not responsible. That to me is the biggest attack vector of this, is to say that the systemic risk is massive. And then as we become part more of the traditional finance world, that impact then, they'll claim that impact then rolls into traditional finance. My feeling is let's get our shit together and use the data and the algorithms to be able to self-regulate by reducing the risk, right? Let's reduce the risk. Let's not let some fucking idiot. I get it. He didn't want to sell us $50 million worth of FTM. I understand, right?
I wouldn't want to either.
But at the same time, dude, if you need some cash, whatever you borrowed, if you need the cash, you may have to let go of some of that shit because you just put in jeopardy your 50 million in FTM. You put the entire chain in fucking jeopardy with that fucking loan, right?
I would love to know what he invested the loan in.
Yeah, right.
Like if he was doing a 999 thing or like spiraling up, or if he was stable coin yielding it. Must have been something else other than stables, because obviously his borrowed amount got hammered too.
There was a whole I was trying to find the guys. I had read the thread and I forgot to save it the other day of the guys that loaned him the money. It came from guys that have another protocol. I think it was. Let's say.
Arbitrum?
No. Not a chain, a protocol. And they were being accused of lending treasury money, but they didn't. They lent personal money. But I can't find the thread, but they talked about how much he had to cover, and they actually gave the Twitter handle of the borrower, et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, I'd like to see us, the kinds of things that we are able to do to self-police and regulate automatically and autonomously are the kinds of things that make us superior. So let's use the mechanisms we have to show the world that we're actually going to do a better job than the traditional finance world, because we don't require a human being to try to regulate this. We can do this algorithmically across all chains, across all protocols, and have a way to make sure that kind of shit can't happen. And it's just going to be critical. It's going to be critical, even if it wasn't a regulatory attack vector. It's going to be critical for more institutional money coming in, right? Those people are going to examine the underlying infrastructure risks, and the only thing they're going to put money into is ETH and Bitcoin, because they're not going to take the chance of utilizing the protocols and making them part of their product offering to their clients if they have to worry about that kind of systemic risk to their entire system. So now,
no, I think it makes total sense. Just the algorithm has to be figured out.
Right. I mean, it's complex. It's definitely complex, and every protocol would probably have to do their own thing, but it's doable.
Yeah. Think about this. So this is 50 million on a $2 billion token. I think that's 2.5% of the market cap was 50 million. Is that right? 50 million, 5% of a billion. Yeah. So 2.5%.
Yeah.
So maybe you cap the size. Maybe you say no one can stake more than half of 1% of the total market cap. And then that is a type, whatever that value is. And then that value is watched.
Right.
And then when that starts getting in trouble, you start pulling those LTV ratios, pushing them down, I guess, and then having people post more collateral. I mean, there's an algorithm for it. I think it makes total sense. And enforce people to go across multiple protocols if you really want to borrow like that.
Right. And we also have to track all of the lending protocols pooled together, because you could theoretically have one person that only takes 0.5%, but across the board, you may find that, 35% of a token is in high risk debt. And that's got to be a part of the equation too. It's got to be like, okay, yeah, we've got to be careful because this is approaching, look, it's what happened to Olympus DAO, right? And Olympus's DAO's liquidations happened because one dude was stupid enough to sell $10 million worth on the exchanges, right? Rather than go to an OTC because he wanted to cash out some money. That put into impact a massive price drop because of the slippage on selling that much, which then set off all of the liquidations on the lending, which made the price plummet even further, right? And those are the kind of systemic things that these protocols have to be aware of. I mean, they can't be aware of we can't have somebody blocked for selling $10 million worth. But what we can do is count into the equation, okay, if there was an event that dropped price X percent, what's the level of risk that the overall token, protocol, or chain is going to have to that, right? Again, it's complex, but it's definitely something I think needs to be looked at. So
I think so too. I think you're right. And I think it's doable. I mean, but everybody's pretty much open source on these lending protocols. So it'd be pretty easy to peel the data and write hey, here's a new company. Let's just do a coin offering right now. What do we call it? Brad. Call it the Brad coin.
Let's not.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. We're Americans.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll give them away to everybody after you make a donation to the foundation.
Yeah. We'll call it Zelensky coin.
There you go.
There you go.
Interesting story, though. Yeah, no, I mean, I saw Phantom. I was tempted when I saw it in the 60s to buy some more, but I just was like, kind of sitting there going, well, after reading all this other stuff about people, the halving analysis people calling the bottom for November of this year, I'm like, well, maybe there's going to be more chances to get in on that later on. So, who knows? But me, I want that crater right now with the big wick down because I think it's the only way we come out of this.
Yeah, I thought we were about to have it this weekend. It just felt like all the stars were aligning between exploits, close to liquidations. The prices seemed to be dropping more and more. I thought we were about to make the leap, but we did not.
But you see the data like on Ethereum. I don't remember if this is in your guys' channel or if it was Kingfisher or Jarvis or whatever, but showing the amount of ETH on exchange and off exchange, and it's still widening. I mean, leaving the exchanges.
Right.
The supply is historically low. So another article about all the institutional buying that's been going on since I think August of 21.
Right.
They're not selling. And in fact, they're probably, where was it in August? ETH, I think it's probably right around where it is now or a little bit below, but they're either underwater or they're slightly in the money. So they're not selling. So there's just not a lot of retail out there ready to dump and panic. No. And if they do, people buy.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I think some catalyst has to happen to flood new money into the market.
Yeah.
To push it up, because when you look at the tech that's being developed, I mean, so much of the stuff out there now is absolutely mind blowing, the stuff that we're seeing. And it's not, this isn't reinventing the wheel stuff. This is like DeFi 3.0, 4.0 stuff. I mean, so, whenever we kind of ride out of this kind of crabby, bearish feeling, I think then you're going to see a ton of institutional money come pouring in. And then
totally agree.
Hopefully the retail comes with it.
Yeah.
I think it will, but we have to wait till that happens. And I don't know when that is.
Yeah, when the downward move started making this weekend, I said, if this down continues, I'm excited about what will happen in DeFi. Number one, shit projects will die. Number two, projects will merge into stronger and more powerful integrated models. Number three, smart teams will build and secure more. And four, revenue for investors will become the norm. Because I do think this shit is necessary. We have to have failures. We have to have, dumps that weed out the shit. We have to have founders having downtime to focus on security and building and growing and strengthening what they have. Integrating, I think there will be a lot more merges if that comes, and projects working together, pooling resources, pooling teams, pooling treasuries. So frankly, it's probably a really good thing if we have that big dump you're talking about.
I think it's got to happen. I mean, look, I see everybody panicking over, I mean, I saw some stuff in one of the channels too. People are starting to talk about tapering. Like nobody's been talking about tapering. Everybody's been talking about tapering in the real world for the last 2 years,
Right,
and you
right.
get people going, oh my God, the Fed's going to like reduce the balance sheet. And I'm like, that happened in 2018. That's why they stopped raising rates, because it was just too much at once.
Right.
And so it's not like this is this big surprise that they're going to be retiring 85 billion a month off of the balance sheet. Maybe it gets smaller, who knows, but it's not an event. It's already priced in. Everybody
Yeah.
knows it's happening. And the 50 bips rate hike for, were we in May now? Yeah, this month. I mean, that's already priced in. Everybody knows it's coming. So, I mean, I don't see the panic there that you get all the people writing about. It's not happening that way.
Yeah.
So, and then I think I saw a first quarter GDP number of like minus 1.2, and everybody's like, oh my God. And I'm like, the first quarter is always shit. And the fourth quarter right before it was like 8.7 or something like that, or 6.9 or 7, so of course that's going to happen. I think people just don't really get how the broader economy works a lot of times and how it affects crypto. And I don't see I'm more honestly worried about real estate myself these days.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah. But just because of, now, interest rates going up, some mortgage rates are back up in the 5s. But also now we're getting the adjustable rate mortgages are coming back. They're starting to write those again. I mean, those were gone for 12 years, basically.
Yeah, that's brutal. That's
now that's coming. If we start hearing about interest only stuff again, then look out. But I just feel like, like I see it in this neighborhood. Everything went up 40% last year, basically. But nothing's selling now. Everybody's just sitting on it. But, property taxes and, a mortgage payment.
You think the sales have slowed down?
There's here. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Around here it has.
Huh.
I don't know what's going on in the South, but, in this part of town, yeah, it's definitely, there's just no inventory.
No. I thought you meant interest or demand was slowing down. Cause I'm like, no, down here people can't.
Well, this has gotten priced out here. I mean,
Yeah.
dude, this ranch that I'm looking at out my window right now next to me, when it was for sale, it listed it. And this is basically you call it a 3-bedroom, but it's a 2-bedroom plus a den, small footprint lot, $1.7 million.
Yeah.
That house is $30,000 in Memphis.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In a decent neighborhood.
Down here, you can write for sale on a piece of paper and stand on your front yard, and it'll be gone above asking within 10 minutes. So it's like, it's ridiculous here.
Yeah. No, it was here like 3 months ago. It's like that here, where a lot of people were listing houses and people were coming in and writing checks for $300,000 over the ask.
Yeah.
You list it for 2.2 million and people are coming in offering you $2.5 million cash.
Yeah, it's
on
crazy.
the spot. And, and I'm like, fuck, man, the property taxes. That's like, and you can't deduct the interest anymore. Like when it was, those interest only loans were great because I was writing off hundreds of thousands. Well, I don't want to get into specific numbers, but I was writing big numbers of interest off. Well, now it's capped at what? I don't know. What is it capped at this year? It's like 10,000, 12,000. So you can't deduct taxes and interest anymore. So I think that's going to have an impact on some people too.
Sure.
But who knows? That's just my feeling.
So the Bored Ape guys, Yuga Labs, kind of fucked up this weekend. Some people are saying they did it on purpose. They were selling NFT land in their metaverse, and evidently they were requiring people to double or triple mint on the when you were minting your NFTs. Mm-hmm. So people were like paying double and triple the price, and it fucking clogged up Ethereum. And but then they put out a tweet, and this is why people think that they did it on purpose, is we're sorry for turning off the lights on Ethereum for a while. It seems abundantly clear that ApeCoin will need to migrate to its own chain in order to properly scale. We'd like to encourage the DAO to start thinking in this direction. Well, no, you don't have to fucking have your own chain if you build your contracts efficiently so that it doesn't require people to double and triple fucking mint when they're getting the NFTs, dude. It's like, if you're just smart about how you do this. So some people are assuming are intimating that they did this on purpose because that's their real goal, is to have their own chain just for ApeCoin in the metaverse, I guess. Which, look, I mean, subchains on Avalanche are being used for that right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Games are going because they want to control the flow, they want to control the speed, they want to control the transaction fees, everything else, and they want to own it. So, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it was ridiculous. And here's the really stupid thing. They've now are going to refund the gas fees because people were essentially doubling and tripling the cost of the piece of land they were buying. People are now they're going to refund all of the millions and millions of dollars that was burned in gas back to the people that minted these. So now they're going to take this nice big fat chunk out of their treasury and give it back to people, which is, it's just stupid all the way around. But anyway, it is what it is.
I mean, this is a premium priced NFT land product.
Right.
I mean, Bored Ape Yacht Club is probably maybe the most recognized NFT out there right now. What would you think?
Yeah, I would say
it's
so.
in the top 5. Let's put it that way. And now everybody's just ecstatic to get one.
Yeah.
And now you're going to refund the gas. I was like, no, I wouldn't do that.
Go ahead. Sorry. Back on our lending, Niblet says, yes, enough of these events, and I'm worried that retail will start calling for a regulator, which harms everyone. And then Sean XBT says, the reality is the only way to cover these risks is to hold an insurance fund greater than the OI. That does not stop liquidation chains. It limits the losses to the over leveraged. Yeah, but you cannot take on the loans that put it at a greater risk, right? I mean, that's really my point, is you just are monitoring the health of the ecosystem and you're saying, okay, this is too much exposure on this protocol. And it requires, ratcheting back the greed of the protocol that's lending, because you're going to have to say, you know what, we can't take all the loans. But Eamon brings up a practical point. He says it's not very easy to collect the data from any arbitrary protocol. I spent a month just getting balances from a few different protocols. Yeah, totally agree. In current state, that can be a difficult thing, but there is zero reason why we can't get it, right? Like the protocols can't make it easier to share, and somebody can't build the system that actually pulls those feeds in from every lending protocol that's participating in the measure to try to keep things safer. So totally agree, dude. Right now it's an arduous task, but my whole point is they all need to make it easier for us to see and understand the data, so people can be more careful.
Yeah, and if you think about it, just from the other project of ours, just with one or two platforms to get all the APIs working and everything to do stuff. I mean, I would think that that's going to be a complex task as well, but it's doable.
Yeah, but if the lending protocols go in and make the feed available and then pull it, then it's not what Eamon went through, right? Eamon had to go to every one of the protocols and try to figure out how to get data.
Right.
Whereas if the protocols are creating the feed and saying, hey, we're going to make this easier, we have a standard that we've defined, and now all of us pull it together, I think that makes sense. So anyway, and I think investors have to take responsibility too. People lending have to take responsibility. They also have to take a look at the health of things and make sure they're not going to get crushed with this. Now, I don't give a shit if the guy with 50 million loses his money, right? But at the same time, I do give a shit if it impacts the entire ecosystem or if it puts us at risk as from other folks, from regulators or whomever.
Yeah, and I was also think about, if that's all transparent data, if you get some competitor on competitor action, when you see someone getting tight to those liquidation margins, maybe you then could do something predatory to take them down. I mean, there might be a reason they don't want to share the data.
Right. It makes it an attack risk, definitely. Yeah. It's okay, let me dump on this token because I can see that if I dump on this token, that's going to liquidate a $10 million loan. That's going to create a cascading event that impacts what it's paired with.
And then going to pile back in.
Yeah. I mean,
it's all healthy though for the market.
Yeah. Look, if a government wanted to take out DeFi, right? Maybe they do it. Maybe they cause it because they feel threatened by it. A bank, an industry, anybody says, all right, you know what? Or a whole chain. I don't want this thing to win. So I'm going to take it out by, creating a
just dumping everything.
Yeah. Eamon says, that'd be awesome if it was a standard in base code. Want to make an EIP? I tell you what, Eamon, you write it up and I'll endorse it, but I am not the guy to write it up. Chuck says the reporting should have been baked into the chain designs. Grafting something on after the fact will never be 100% accurate. Seems like an audit tracking clearance chain that everyone participates in is better than relying on these chain-specific developers to build the right thing. Well, yeah, I mean, look, I think at the end of the day, you have to have feeds from all chains. And I agree, it's not going to be easy or perfect, but it can certainly be better. I would love a solution that made it easier and cohesive for all chains. But
yeah, and it's also a way for that chain to differentiate from the competition. Like, let's say Phantom rolled this out.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, they're saying this is why we're better than
Yep.
Avalanche, Solana, whatever. You know, I'm not saying they are or aren't. I'm just saying that would be a
differentiator. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I like that.
Interesting. You know, I was looking at back to the Yuga Labs. I was looking at that very first below the main post in the thread. Read that. We're aware that some users had failed due to the incredible demand being forced. So it's kind of feeds into your thing, what you were saying, that a lot of these, it kind of looks like it's a marketing gimmick more than an event.
You wrote, look at this reply. You wrote a terribly unoptimized contract, created a gas war, lied about Dutch auction mechanics to pump your own narrative, and hid how many wallets were eligible. Maybe get a Solidity dev before you go around trying to create Binance Smart Chain 2.0.
No reply to that one.
Oh yeah, this is a good reply. They can't write a good contract, but I assure you, 0x Fubar, they will write a better blockchain. Trust them, please. Yeah, you can't write a good contract.
You can't write a blockchain. Yeah. Where do I get my money back?
When do I get my money back?
I saw one where somebody minted, and I saw like a $43,000 gas fee or something.
Yeah.
On a much smaller transaction than that. You got to really want that stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What does he say? Oh.
That's the guy that got killed. Just got arrested. I think this is the guy that just got arrested. What's his name? Shit, the hedge fund.
In the U.S. got arrested. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not Zhang, but something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember, but yeah. I would.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, that guy's. I mean, he was not playing smart. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Public securities.
Let's see if they've owned up to how fucked up they were. We're working on refunding all other deed mentors with failed transactions their gas. Oh, they're refunding failed transactions their gas.
Okay.
We'll transfer it all back to your wallet. Announce once completed. Yeah, they don't actually say. Yeah, so they're only refunding the gas to the people that failed.
Okay.
Which would suck, a $6,000 gas fee. So I'm not going to get into this. There's a thread I'll put in the notes, but this is a really good thread on fundraising decks for Web3 companies. This is also a good reading for folks that want to take a look on how to read smart contracts, just basic fundamentals of functionality. I'll save that one for another day. So somebody did a little digging on the Coinbase listings. I think we might have talked briefly about this last week, but Kobe looked at some tokens around the Coinbase asset listings and the number, and found a wallet that was buying up all of the listings 24 hours before the listings went public. Right. So there was a listing where Coinbase said, these are the potential assets we're going to be buying, as in a vote of transparency. These are the potential assets we're going to be opening to trading in the next several months. They will go through our process, but these are the ones we're considering. Somebody went in and bought a ton of those assets, 24 exactly 24 hours before that list was made public. Right. So the point here is that Coinbase has somebody within there doing some insider trading on that information. Must be difficult to resist that, though. I can imagine, if you know that Coinbase just saying those names is going to pump all of those tokens. Anyway, supposedly Coinbase is investigating this. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, I saw a clip about that. Something I saw over the weekend on Coinbase investigating insider trading.
Yeah.
So,
So we talked a little bit about this earlier. Rari was exploited for 80 million in US dollars. It was actually, from what I read on Saturday, I believe, it was actually a vulnerability that was supposedly fixed, and a bounty was paid to the person that found it and reported it to them. But there was some other methodology or some weakness in the way it was fixed that didn't fully fix the bug. So Rari got hit with the $80 million exploit this weekend. Just another day in DeFi, I guess.
is that the one you were talking about earlier, the Rari one?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fei and Rari merged, and Rari is the lending protocol.
Okay.
Let's see what Eamon said. Yeah, you'd have to have events to be tracking fed into on-chain, off-chain Oracle. That could be manipulated and cause attacks to be ARBs. Oh, so he's saying that it could potentially be attacked. Yeah, look, it's from my perspective, it's tech. There's always a solution. So hopefully something will happen. Nothing's going to happen because I call for it, but it would certainly be nice to see something like that happen. Oh, and I think we may have touched on this briefly last week, but just wanted to hit it again, especially in light of Yuga saying they want to create their own chain. Binance Smart Chain is now creating application side chains. So essentially allowing people to create their own side chain for their application. So games like we were talking about earlier, metaverses, whatever. I'm assuming it works similar to how Avalanche's subchains work. But allows you to have your own chain with high speed, ultra low gas fees, and its own token for gas. Smart move for them to copy it. They still have the most retail traffic and volume. We'll see what happens, but this could be a real opportunity for people launching games, etc., to own their own chain and control their destiny like you can do on Avalanche. So
yeah, I like that.
Let's see. Oh, Bancor is kind of blowing up. Everybody's kind of looking at them more and more for liquidity with their version 2.0 stuff, but I'm not going to get into that. Here are your articles, Joe.
This is mine. I think this is related to isn't this the one related?
Solana shut down this weekend.
Yeah, but wasn't it tied to an NFT sale or something like that too?
I don't know what caused it.
This is always going down. I don't know why it's
always going down. It's like fucking ridiculous, dude.
I mean, I'm just surprised that people are still doing anything there at this point. I mean, I can think of like 5 or 6 complete shutdowns over the last year or so, at least.
It says it was because of inbound transactions, 4 million per second, flooding the network, surpassing 100 gigabytes per second. I don't know if that was somebody attacking. They don't know why they couldn't recover from the crash. They basically had to fucking Control-Alt-Delete the fucking network.
All right, next chain. Next.
Goldman Sachs is bringing Bitcoin backed loans to traditional finance, Joe.
Yeah, just another, user adoption, TradeFi, wealth management thing. I mean, nothing too exciting. We don't know what the LTVs are or anything, but still the fact that they're doing it is good.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yep. No, that's good. That's good.
Next.
That's good.
Somebody threw this up in one of my chats. It's this, I think it's M to E, is what they're calling this space. So connecting, musical artists, I guess athletes and other creators directly to their fans. And a lot of people that I trust were buying this over the weekend.
Interesting.
And then they put a list up of, I think, the other ones too that fit. But
wait, they have their own VR headset?
That was the thing everybody was bitching about. They're like, why would you do your own VR headset?
Stupid.
That's the thing. It's like, but that's when people were like then selling after everybody figured that out. But it's like, why do you want to be in the hardware business?
That's really strange. What I wonder what made them think that was a better move than just using. I don't know. Maybe they don't want to be dependent on another hardware maker, especially Meta, which is the #1 VR headset maker, who has a competitive product, right?
Yeah.
Now you're risking your entire business model if you're utilizing their system. So Yeah, I could almost see why, or use an alternative, some other like a Sony headset or something. Maybe they just are branding somebody else's. Who knows? But it does seem a little odd.
But there's a ton of money in here, and
Interesting.
it's a token CEK, I believe, and it seemed to be moving around over the weekend. So
Interesting.
we're
Wait, these
checking
are
out.
the celebrities that are signed up in it?
Yeah, they did a deal with Universal Music, so they have
Shit.
all of Universal Music's stuff. So they have some big
Wow.
artists. I
Wow.
mean, I saw Ziggy Marley, there's Demi Lovato, Lady
Why the
Gaga.
fuck is Randy Zuckerberg in there?
I don't
What
know
the
who the hell that is.
That's Mark's sister that was the COO at Facebook, I guess, and she did a fucking cheesy ass pro crypto video. I mean, it was just
Dwayne Wade
cheesy,
too.
but it just seems odd that she would be in the metaverse.
Maybe she's got a lot of. Is she doing a podcast or something like that with a lot of followers?
I don't know.
But it's just a.
So are they doing concerts in the metaverse?
I believe so.
Wow. What the fuck?
I don't know 100%.
This is a
I
pretty
did
big announcement.
But look, it's a whole space now evolving, and it's kind of like the exercise ones too. The move to earn ones where. See, this is when I was talking to the guy from iHeartRadio. I can't remember his name, but their corp dev guy. I think it was last December, and what they were doing, and they're the biggest radio station operator in the U.S. and how they did their first live festival. When the pandemic kind of struggling out of the pandemic at that point, and what they were doing with NFTs and things, and they weren't really doing anything all that exciting.
Right.
It was like giving away, baseball cards or something. It was like a thing. It didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And, I was talking about how you want to weave experiences and stuff into that, and Benny's for the future, and, just integrate more direct band to fan type activities. And,
yeah.
And, obviously other people are doing this, have been doing it. So I think it's something that can build like Avenged Sevenfold has a pretty cool like crypto play going on. My daughter's into that band, and it's pretty much heavy metal rocking stuff. It's pretty good. But just to kind of it disintermediates or disrupts that middleman concept. So now a lot of the studios and everybody are trying to stay in the middle and stay relevant.
Right.
Provide value. And I think this kind of looks like that a lot to me when you look at, say, Universal and what they're trying to do.
Right.
So
I figured out the headsets. It's the cheap ass ones where you insert your phone in them. Which I've never been. I've tried a couple of them and never been able to get anything effective out of them. But you
just look at your phone screen.
Yeah, it basically turns your phone screen into a VR headset. I mean, it works semi okay. Maybe they've improved it with their design. I don't know, but it's $100, right? It's not a full on VR headset.
Okay.
Like Meta's. It's a download the app, put it on your phone, and then insert the phone into the headset.
Yeah. And you also get 3-month subscription with that.
So
it's
they're
not
launching
a bad
this
price,
No, it's not bad. So they're launching, if it works. I mean, the user experience on those are not great. So they launched this with a token, and does the token have anything to do with access or to pay for the subscription? Do you know if it's utility in any way?
I don't know its utility. No,
it's interesting.
I would
check it out.
Yeah, we should dig in more. I just saw it and fed it over, so I didn't lose it over the weekend. But you could see how tokens would work.
Yeah,
in it for different things, not just commerce, but tracking and things like that in fan experience. And finding instantly maybe there's what's resonating with these high tier fans. What are they liking? How are they kind of just gathering in real time? I could see how that could be useful in a concert setting.
Yeah.
I mean, you could be airdropping NFTs or with tokens during a song. That's I don't know how they release music these days. I guess it's all singles, but in the olden days, there was like 1 or 2 big songs on a CD. versus, single downloads and playlists and things.
Right.
I don't know about you, but one thing I have been doing lately is listening to the radio in the car again.
Oh, not me.
Yeah. Well, just because I like that I don't know what's coming up next.
Yeah, but I can do that with like a station on Apple Music or on Amazon Music or Spotify. I can just have a thematic station and have it go random and just,
Yeah, I guess you could. I just like to see what is being promoted by the studios.
Yeah, no, I get it. I can't. I haven't. The only time I listen to the radio is when I get on the car and my wife has left it on. I
like so unpredictable.
I like unpredictable. I have thousands of songs in my phone, and I'll just randomize the fuck out of it.
But don't you know them all already?
Yes, some of those. But then I'll listen to whatever's, like Amazon and Apple both have an algorithm that predicts what I like based on the things I listened to in the past. So I get a lot of cool shit that I've never heard before too. So
that's interesting.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't go through the fucking commercials and.
Oh no, I don't listen to the commercials.
The dumbass DJs and just blah.
No, I don't listen to the commercials. I like to see what's coming out. But what I like is the randomness, and I don't like an algorithm always picking it for me. But of course, they're probably running off an algorithm too. So
yeah, more and more. iHeartRadio, I think, is all algorithm.
Yeah.
All right, let's see if we had anything else. You did the Bored Ape thing too.
Yep. This is because you were kind of advising one of these fitness apps. So I threw that one in there just to see, what you thought. And I'd met that other group at the Bitcoin conference. I had their deck. I got to follow up with them, but they had all the competition in there, and it didn't have yours.
Because they hadn't announced anything yet. Probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
But there's a good 12 competitors out there that look pretty strong.
Yep.
So this was one. I think that anything that creates motion and you earn for moving, I think has a real possibility to do something.
It's funny how they named it Step instead of Steppin'. But their ticker is FitFi.
Isn't there a Steppin as well?
Yeah, Steppin's the big one. Steppin is the one that kind of blew everything up.
Yeah, that's got like the $2.3 billion market cap, and everything else below it is significantly less.
Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting.
But anyway, I thought that was more for you.
Okay, yeah, thanks.
This is another one. Malt was talked about a lot from some degens like over the last year, and there was a big rug pull or something like a year ago, and so the big joke was everybody got malted, and but these are guys that are like degens that play a lot, and they're back in here on version 2. So I mean, I'm not going to play on it.
So it's a algorithmically collateralized stablecoin pegged to $1. Be as fair as possible as their guiding principle. This guides every decision we make throughout the project. Designed around LPs. LPs are first-class citizens with strong incentives within the protocol. No VCs, no governance, no discounted presale, no team allocation. Democratizing the profit, usually extracted by bots. It's on Polygon.
Yeah. So worth exploring.
Carries out privileged arbitrage on itself to keep the price stable. Profit generated via this arbitrage is then split between directly paying LPs and bolstering peg defenses. As an LP, all you have to do is create Malt LP and bond your LP tokens into the Malt contract. You'll now start receiving a pro rata share of all the profit made off the arbitrage. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like that. That's awesome.
I think people were taking Elk over there, Elk Finance. That's what was
okay.
And I think there was some play in there with
Elk still functioning? Are they
Yeah, they're like on a shitload of chains. I mean, they're all
interesting.
I haven't really done anything. There was a big fight at the beginning. I think I've told this story before, but I heard about it and I jumped in when it was at like $1 something, and like in 3 hours it rode up to $8. And then I saw a big fight starting with someone I know who probably owns most of it, and I was like, I'm out, done. And it was all about, they were giving these NFTs. I think it was like Moose NFTs or something, but it was right when they were coming off the first chain to the second chain, and they had said that they were going to reward all the new liquidity in the second chain, but they ended up giving it all to founders. And then there was a big fight over that. And then it was resolved to the satisfaction of the investor dudes. And then they kept going. So they resolved it. But when I saw that fight happening and the person who was starting it, I was like, this guy could single-handedly take the whole thing out.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, 5, 6x in 3 hours, I'm gone.
That's good.
But that's just my strategy. It doesn't always work, obviously. So,
I
but I'm
agree.
going to look at this again because I like that particularly that feature you just outlined. I like that. I think that could be pretty interesting.
Definitely.
What do you
Definitely.
think?
Sounds
So,
good. I think that's
all right.
all we got for today, Joe.
All right, buddy.
Everybody have a wonderful afternoon. Happy
Yep.
Monday. Stay safe out there. Could be ugly. Maybe it won't. We'll see what happens. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you. We love you guys. Please, if you get a chance, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe, comment, and click the little bell, please, on YouTube. Also, you can do those same kind of actions on Twitch and on LinkedIn. We appreciate all of you here. And please tell your friends. Thanks a lot, Joe. Thanks for